All right, take two for day two. Hopefully the mic works this time. It worked last time, but it sounded terrible, so trying again. Um, Good to be back with you guys. This is surreal, literally surreal. We're going to be going over a couple of things. First thing I'd like to go over is just to reiterate that this is absolutely positively going to be graded at some point. That's a reality. Even though it's not currently graded, it will be. So please make sure you're keeping up to date with the assignments. I will be doing one of these every day until we're done with the book, and then we'll move into what we're doing next. And when that is, you'll know. Um, Item number two that I would like to just throw out there to you guys is this. Um, it's up to you. You are under no obligation to participate if you don't want to. But if you desired to have a either Google Meet or a Zoom where we could just talk about any questions you guys had going forward, um, just see a face again, be seen, whatever. If you'd like to do that next week, just shoot me an email or leave a comment below. You can do yourselves a favor. Uh, Follow, like Danny Pop did. I knew he would because, well, let's be honest, that's the only time that he watches his stuff is on YouTube, so that's why it's on YouTube. But yeah, feel free to follow the page and you'll get updates when I download the next video, so you can watch it ahead of time if you want to. But I think that's it. I'm going to do something that I should have done last time, which is pray. And I will try and begin every one of these with a prayer just because, well, we should. So let's begin doing all things in the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord, thank you for the gift of your love. In trying times like these, I think it is always helpful to realize that we can always turn on you and turn to you and rely on you and call on you for the love that you just offer us freely. I pray that we are able to just rely on those closest to us, and if we don't have those close to us that we can rely on, to turn to you, and that we can continually just lean into you and not be afraid to do so, and that we are just continually drawing upon you for that strength that we need. And we ask this in your most holy and blessed name. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Quick shout out. I forgot to do this yesterday to Riley Lowe's. Thank you for letting me borrow your book. Not that she's going to see this because I'm not giving it to her, but she wanted me to shout her out for some reason. She's weird like that. And there you go. No, Rosie, you can't go to the bathroom. We are going to be going right into working. So pause, I guess you could, but don't. All right, chapter 1 of The Great Divorce. I seemed to be standing in a busy queue by the side of a long, mean street. Evening was just closing in, and it was raining. I had been wandering for hours in similar mean streets, always in the rain and always in evening twilight. Time seemed to have paused on that dismal moment when only a few shops have lit up, and it is not yet dark enough for their windows to look cheering. And just as the evening never advanced to night, so my walking had never brought me to any of the better parts of town. However far I went, I found only dingy lodging houses, small tobacconists, hoardings from which posters hung in rags, windowless warehouses, good stations without trains, and bookshops of the sort that sell the works of Aristotle. I never met anyone. But for the little crowd at the bus stop, the whole town seemed to be empty. I think that was why I attached myself to the queue. I had a stroke of luck right away, for just as I took my stand, a little waspish woman who would have been ahead of me snapped out at a man who seemed to be with her. Very well then, I won't go at all, so there, and left the queue. Pray don't imagine, said the man in a very dignified voice, that I care about going in the least. I have only been trying to please you for peace sake. My own feelings are, of course, a matter of no importance. I quite understand that. And suiting the action to the word, he also walked away. Come, thought I, That's 2 places gained. I was now next to a very short man with a scowl, who glanced at me with an expression of extreme disfavor, and observed, rather unnecessarily loudly, to the man beyond him, "This sort of thing really makes one think twice about going at all." "What sort of thing?" growled the other, a big, beefy person. "Well," said the short man, "this is hardly the sort of society I'm used to, as a matter of fact." "Huh," said the big man, and then added with a glance at me, "Don't you stand any sauce from him, mister. You're not afraid of him, are you?" Then, seeing I made no move, he rounded suddenly on the short man and said, "Not good enough for you, aren't we? Like your lip." Next moment he had fetched the short man one on the side of the face that sent him sprawling into the gutter. Let him lay," said the big man to no one in particular. "I'm a plain man, that's what I am, and I gotta have my rights, same as anyone else, see?" As the short man showed no disposition to rejoin the queue, and soon began limping away, I closed up, rather cautiously, behind the big man, and congratulated myself on having gained yet another step. A moment later, 2 young people in front of him also left us, arm in arm. They were both so trousered, slender, giggly, and falsetto, that I could be sure of the sex of neither. But it was clear that each for the moment preferred the other to the chance of a place in the bus. "We shall never all get in," said a female voice with a whine in it from some 4 places ahead of me. "Change places with you for 5 bob, lady," said someone else. I heard the clink of money and then a scream in the female voice, mixed with roars of laughter from the rest of the crowd. The cheated woman leapt out of her place to fly at the man who had bilked her, but the others immediately closed up and flung her out. So what with one thing and another, the queue had reduced itself to manageable proportions long before the bus appeared. It was a wonderful vehicle, blazing with golden light, heraldically colored. The driver himself seemed full of light, and he used only one hand to drive with. The other he waved before his face as if to fan away the greasy steam of the rain. A growl went up from the queue as he came in sight. "Looks as if he had a good time of it, eh? Bloody pleased with himself, I bet. My dear, why can't he behave naturally? Thinks himself too good to look at us. Who does he imagine he is? All that gilding and purple, I call it a wicked waste. Why don't they spend some of the money on their house property down here? God, I'd like to give him one on the old ear hole." I could see nothing in the countenance of the driver to justify all this, unless it were that he had the look of authority and seemed intent on carrying out his job. My fellow passengers fought like hens to get on board the bus, though there was plenty of room for us all. I was the last to get in. The bus was only half full, and I selected a seat at the back, well away from the others. But a tousle-haired youth at once came and sat down beside me. As he did so, we moved off. I thought you wouldn't mind my tacking on to you," he said, "for I have noticed that you feel just as I do about the present company. Why on earth they insist on coming here, I can't imagine. They won't like it at all when we get there, and they'd really be much more comfortable at home. It's different for you and me." "Do they like this place?" I asked. "As much as they'd like anything," he answered. "They've got cinemas and fish and chip shops and advertisements and all the sorts of things they want. The appalling lack of any intellectual life doesn't worry them. I realized as soon as I got here that there'd been some mistake. I ought to have taken the first bus, but I fooled about trying to wake people up here. I found a few fellows I'd known before and tried to form a little circle, but they all seemed to have sunk to the level of their surroundings. Even before we came here, I'd have some doubts about a man like Cyril Blelot. I always thought he was working in a false idiom, but he was at least intelligent. One could get some criticism worth hearing from him, even if he was a failure on the creative side. But now he seems to have nothing left but his self-conceit. The last time I tried to read him some of my own stuff. But wait a minute, I'd just like you to look at it." Realizing with a shudder that what he was producing from his pocket was a thick wad of typewritten paper, I muttered something about not having my spectacles and exclaimed, "Hullo, we've left the ground." It was true. Several hundred feet below us, already half hidden in the rain and mist, the wet roofs of the town appeared, spreading without a break as far as the eye could reach. End of chapter 1. We'll continue on Monday with Chapter 2. In the meantime, again, if you decide that you would like to participate in a Google Hangout, no, sorry, wrong terminology. It's not Google Hangouts, Google Meet. In Google Meet or Zoom or some kind of face-to-face type of class type setting next week, let me know, either in the comments below or an email. The other thing I'd like to very quickly go over with you guys is the questions that you're going to be answering in your discussion forum. Just quickly, for those of you that have still kind of not figured out the intricacies of it, on the left-hand side, you just click on the name of the question. So the first one is preface question. This one's chapter 1 question. Just click on that. You'll see the questions again. You'll click on reply. You write your answers, click submit, and there you're done. You might want to come back in and look at them at some point because I do sometimes respond to your responses, just throwing stuff out there for you to think about as we continue to read the book. But I think that's it. So questions really quickly that you're going to be answering. Question 1, describe in your own words the mood, atmosphere, images, and depictions of the gray town. Where do you think our narrator is and why do you think that? Question 2, the people that the narrator encounters while waiting for and getting on the bus seem to represent various forms of sin, specifically the 7 deadly sins. Associate the different personalities he encounters in line and on the bus with the following sins: envy, gluttony, greed, lust, vanity, sloth. Yeah, it's sloth, not sloth. Wrath. Question 3, why do you think the people continue to leave the bus line? What do you think C.S. Lewis is trying to say about humanity when the people would rather stay in a town that seems absent of any real life rather than move beyond it? Explain your answer. And question 4, the poet says, why on earth they insist on coming here, I can't imagine. They won't like it at all when we get there, and they'd really be much more comfortable at home. What parallel is there to our own comfort and how we deal with sin? How do you propose that we break from our own sinful comfort zones? So, there are your questions. These are your last questions for this week. We'll be picking up with Chapter 2 next week. Stay safe. Have a good weekend. I miss you guys. I love you guys. And I will see you again on Monday. Signing out. See you later. Bye. Ciao. Auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss.